Hey guys, just a quick note before we start episode 2 from Ria and I. We just want to say from the bottom of our hearts a big thank you for all your love and support that we've received for episode 1. We couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah, I think we're so excited to see how hype everyone got, and it made us even more excited to continue with the podcast and give you guys more content. So thank you guys so much.
Please continue to DM us, to mention us on your Instagram, to subscribe and send us all your feedback. This is the best way we can reach out to more people and create more of an impact. Thank you so much and enjoy the episode 2.
Hello.
Hi, Ria.
Hi, Purva.
Did we just start a pod?
Yeah, dude, I think we did. So how have you been? How was your weekend?
Dude, it was nuts. So I like to tell everybody that I'm an urban nomad, as you may know.
And really? We had no idea.
Yeah, I know. Haven't I mentioned this already? But I literally live out of a suitcase currently, and I moved cities again and just, reorganize my life. I still have stuff from my US trip back to India in my suitcase. So
oh my God.
I know. I've been a bad adult. As you can see, people, I'm killing adulting. What have you been
That is
up to?
a new level that I have never seen before. Like, I just got back from San Jose last week, and my suitcase is half unpacked and in my room, but that was less than 7 days ago. You went back to India like 2 months ago.
No, more like 4.5 months ago. So
Hey, I was giving you a little bit of padding. Like, you've also been moving cities within India. This girl is crazy.
We try to keep it honest on the pod, am I right?
Hey, only the best for our listeners.
Exactly. Today is all about the workplace.
Today is about the workplace. So one of the things that Apurva and I called each other about all the time when we first graduated college and started going into the workplace was workplace dynamics. And on top of that, kind of like making friends at the workplace.
Oh,
and I don't think it was like we picked up the phone and we're like this is the topic of conversation we want to talk about. It was just like, okay, here's this person and this is their dynamic and we're doing this after and we're doing this, and just like storytelling about friends at work.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell my parents or my friends or just people around me that in school and in college, the lowdown you get is precisely how do you develop your resume, like what do you do when how do you craft your 30-second pitch. But nobody really gave us the memo on how to navigate the workplace friendships, more importantly.
No,
because
almost feel like workplace friendships are more similar to my friendships I made when I was even younger. I don't know why or how to explain that, but maybe it's because it's like very much stuck in my head where Apurva and I were kind of talking about this podcast and what we wanted to really say to you guys. And we were trying to think of like, why are workplace friends even so important? Like, we all go in and we want to have workplace friends, but why are they important? And while we were talking about that, I realized that you need a buddy at your workplace kind of to tell you what happens when you're sick sometimes. Like, it could be the most simple of things, but it reminded me to when I was in elementary school and your teachers would tell you to look to the left and right of you because those people would be your sick day buddies. Like, you missed a day of school, you missed a class for something, like you go and ask them and they would give you the notes. They were responsible for collecting something and kind of taught them to care about you. But that's almost in an essence like the main thing that workplace friends do.
I do have to say though, because once you transition into the workplace, it's almost like you spend half your 40 hours a week at the least at work. At the least.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're getting worked around, you spend even more, and it becomes that much more important to be cordial, even better friendly to the people that you work with, because they kind of make or break your time in the workplace. Like, workplace
100%.
friendships are extremely important, and they make your experience that much more sweeter if you start off on a good note.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's like you said, they set the tone, but also they are kind of the reason that whether or not you're excited to go into work half the time. Like, I think
Yep.
it's similar to how when everyone is going back to school after summer, you're not excited about school, you're excited to see your friends.
I had so many times at work when, I wasn't looking forward to the work, but I was looking forward to seeing those faces and just like starting a new day, talking about our lives and,
Mhm.
occasionally working, but most importantly, looking forward to connecting with your coworkers was something I was super excited about.
Yeah, I think definitely that's true. I think for me also, I just find it personally easier to work with people when you know and understand them and also
Yep.
have a genuine connection with them because then you understand like what's going on in their lives. Like I think there's a very delicate balance between people who use workplace friendships as a positive to build a better working environment and people who use
Yeah.
it as a negative against you.
To add to Ria's point as well, I think friends at work are directly correlated to increasing my productivity at the least. Like, I know for a fact that I get very nervous asking for help at work. And when I
Oh my
know
God,
that,
yeah.
yeah, when I know that my coworker is a great person and he or she is willing to help me, I could just go up to them, chat with them, and just get to the point where, hey, dude, I need help. Please help me. It's almost like having good friendships in the workplace, literally that much important to increase your productivity.
Speaking of workplace friendships and kind of how they can help you when you might need help is I had a coworker in one of my previous positions and we actually didn't get along at all at first. And then essentially we got put on like a very difficult project together and I think bonded over just like when I mean late nights, I mean like we were in different time zones and she would leave the office and she would go home and I would be working late in office until like 8, 9 o'clock. She'd be home, like at home with like a glass of wine working on it. And then I would leave too. Like it was a lot of trauma bonding. But we were able to build up a really good rapport and friendship to the point where later down the line, she was able to even see things where maybe I wasn't sure how to ask for help on something, or like I was
Mm-hmm.
still learning that I needed to ask for help on it. Like I hadn't come to the realization myself. And she would just jump in and be like, hey, I can see your wheels turning that way. When you realize what you need help with, or if you want to talk that out, I am here for you. And someone coming up to you and giving that level of support is just as much as like a friend coming up to you and hugging you when you're like didn't do something very well.
I think that's a great story that Ria just mentioned to highlight our takeaway, which is workplace friendships are incredibly important to make.
Mm-hmm. So that's our first takeaway. But now tell me, like, how the hell do you make workplace friendships? Like,
Oh my gosh.
it's not school where you can sign up for after school activities. I mean, that's a lie. At some workplaces, you can actually do
They
that.
do, yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember at one of my previous workplaces, we had a scavenger hunt for all the newbies.
I will actually say that's a really interesting point that you brought up, which people don't think about when they're like in their hiring process. But when you're like leaving college and you're in your hiring process, one thing to think about is kind of how do you want friends at that certain workplace or
Mhm.
city? Because I did like realize a lot of my friends went to bigger companies where anyone who was like fresh, basically like just out of college, they did things like happy hours for them, events for them, scavenger
Yep.
hunts, so you got to know each other. Versus where I went to go work, there was like 2 or 3 of us who had just graduated college,
Yeah.
so it was a lot less of a pool for you to get a support system from. um, and I definitely think it was harder to kind of make workplace friends because of that.
Yeah, that's why I think, and we kind of alluded to this at the start of the conversation, no one gives us the memo on how to navigate stepping into the workplace and taking it one day at a time. And that's why it becomes that much more important to gauge the culture of your workplace and
Mm-hmm.
kind of accommodate your approach accordingly. Because, like you said, if you go into a place like Ria was, it's a lot harder to strike friendships when the setting and the culture is more structured and there's only 2 or 3 people within your group versus, to be honest, like I had a scavenger hunt, but then after, once we got split up into our groups, I did not have anybody who started off in the same level as I. So it was almost very similar. You kind of had to gauge the workplace, gauge your group of friends, and then, put in that subtle, hey, do you want to get lunch? I'm new to the city, or I'm new to this campus. Can you show me
Yeah.
around?
Yeah. I know one thing that really worked for me was starting off with coffee. And
Uh-huh.
coffee dates are a great segue because your first initial coffee date, a lot of times, is more of like a workplace coffee date. Like you're getting to know more about what do they do, and you can also structure the conversation differently. Like you can figure out what they do and also like what their passions are. But you can
Yep.
use that kind of to be like, okay, so this person is interested in like this. I'm interested in that. Like next time I want to do that, I should hit them up.
I like to think of it this way too, just off of Ria's point, as a blind date, right? Or a Tinder date or anything else, but purely platonic for now. But it's just, you never met this person before, you're seeing him or her for the first time, you're striking a conversation, you're going to get coffee, and then maybe eventually see if you have a common point. Maybe she likes or he likes eating or drinking boba, because that was something I loved doing in my past job, and everybody around me loved boba. So like we would just randomly take off at like 3 p.m. in the middle of the second half of the day and go get boba. That would be just like a 15-minute run, but 15-minute run to get a break from work with the people you like working, and great way to build friendships. You come back
Yeah.
and you just feel rejuvenated.
I also actually made a few workplace friendships by working out together after work. So we would
I was
go
gonna say,
on,
yep.
yeah, we would go on like a run together after work. And it was a great bonding point because also it was kind of like a dude, my brain is fried. Is your brain fried? Let's go
Yeah.
run and let's go on a 30-minute run and just take a break.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's actually a lot more productive that way too, I will say. I think this goes back to like why workplace friendships are so important, but when you're able to have that kind of connection with someone where you can take a break, take a run, and then maybe during your run you keep talking about work, you keep talking about things, and you hit different brain points, and you also are able to get like aha moments together.
Yeah. And it's different settings as well, right? Like, for example, you're not brainstorming about the same problem in that dingy old conference room. You're going on a run, and it's a new setting, it's a new place. You feel much better about confiding your coworker outside. So it's a great way to build that friendship.
Yeah, for sure. Another one is going out for drinks with your coworkers. You know, that's always a great way to let
Hmm.
a little bit of a guard down, open up a little bit more, and get something a little bit more entertaining. I will say this definitely comes with its ups and downs that we also want to talk to you guys about. But going out for a happy hour is always fun, especially if it's in a group setting. And if you're in a group setting, you're much less likely to have it become a dish session about someone or talk negatively about any type of work environment because there's more people there. So getting a group and going to happy hour is always fun. So the second takeaway is how to make friends in a new workplace. So number one, I think Apurva talked about this a lot, but I don't know if we actually said it, is assess the workplace culture. So understand the dynamic of your workplace. What do people try to do there, and see if you can get people invited to do those activities. The
Hmm.
other one is ask people out for coffee, just go on casual coffee dates, see where you could connect and try to expand the friendships from there. Um, this third one is, or the next one is work out together, find different common points, very similar to what we said before, but doing things like working out, taking a walk, going to get a favorite snack is always a good idea. And the last one is work happy hours.
With that, we're going into this kind of hard, touchy water that I often kind of stay away from. But you know, workplace happy hours can be a slippery slope, and sometimes it can.
I just need to take a second to point out how high your voice just got there.
That's how I passionately feel about this subject of workplace drinks and the boundaries that come with that slippery slope.
Oh my God.
Uh,
I mean, I think I will say though, and I think you should talk about both these experiences, but I think it's because you've had contrasting experiences where you've seen in like one industry where it's very drinking heavy and kind of
yeah.
what that does, and the like complete opposite as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make this whole third takeaway about the fact. that alcohol is bad for you. It is not. Go have fun. Go out for a drink with your friends. Don't hold me against it. But anyway, what I was saying was there's it's just I always like to think of it this way. Your work buddies are important, they're integral, da 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 da. But there is this very invisible line that, I had to learn from my one of my experiences in the workplace, that it's very important to have that line that distinguishes your personal life and your professional life. And things can go or meld really fast if you're in a very active, very social company where the culture is just go go go, and you're hanging out with your coworkers one day and getting a drink until like 9 p.m. and then the next morning you see them at like bright and early, kind of discussing the same things that you did last night, and there's just no hard stop
Boundary.
to it,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I definitely have experienced that as well. I think sometimes it's really difficult because that is kind of like the bonding point in your industry, especially I feel like at certain levels of marketing, you just see a lot of drinking, especially on work trips and that type of stuff. But what I've always tried to do, because I agree with that, like it gets way too redundant when it's the same topic of
Yep.
conversation, is I've tried to keep a rule where it's like the drink hits the table, it's no more work conversation. And
That's smart.
let's just say there is a really heated thing at work and you just need to vent to someone. Set a time limit. Be like, okay, I just want to vent out for 20 minutes and then I'm done.
It's
Uh,
kind of like even navigating adult friendships, right? Like, I don't know if this happens to you or to any of our listeners, but when I now hang out with my friends and we're all about the same age, we're all sulking about our jobs, et cetera, et cetera. I've had so many times in our conversations where I put my drink down and I said, guys, let's not talk about work. Our
mm-hmm.
work is a part of our identity. It's not our complete identity. We have a life
Yeah,
beyond that. So let's try to make meaningful conversations beyond that. I get it's a little hard with work, right? Because that's the only point of commonality you have. But that's also an opportunity for you to bring up new conversations and see whether or not they're into the same conversations as you are or have anything else to add to it.
100%. People don't really realize. I mean, it's a fact, but I think you forget about it. Like your tongue is a slippery slope when alcohol gets
Yep.
involved. With just talking about alcohol, one thing is things always come back. We really just want to emphasize that alcohol in workplace friendships ends up being a commonality, but just know your own personal boundaries. One of my old bosses, she gave me the best piece of advice because I think she was a little older than me, but she had been in these situations before and it was just like wasn't her thing, and she was very good at turning off when she needed to. So, and she knew I liked being out and going social and stuff, so she had just told me like, go to these things, have fun, it's a part of who you are, but when you're sitting there, just in one ear out the other, like don't even let it
Yeah.
touch your brain. Just it's a straight like empty canal, like there's no connection to your brain, don't even let it affect you.
And it's so important to, we can say these things, but if you're listening to this and going, yeah, well, I don't know how to do it, understand that these things take time. We're talking from experience. We have experienced many ups and downs in our professional life, and that's kind of where we're pulling this wealth of information from. But another important key point that I want to, highlight from Ria's pointer before was a lot of it is out of your control, right? And you should try in the best of your abilities to not let their opinions of other people affect you. Because I like to think about it this way: when we're starting work, when we're just starting off this new job, it's very easy to factor in everybody's opinion and kind of judge another person's personality even without getting to know them. And that could sometimes be your boss, because your coworkers
Oh my
might be
God,
talking
yeah.
shit about your boss. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's incredibly important to like have those one-on-ones with your bosses, with people you think are important stakeholders in your life, and make that decision on your own. Because if you don't have fine lines or boundaries between you and your coworkers, it's very easy to not have an opinion of your own. I just have to add this one example, and this is a drastic example, but it's something that I'd experienced in my professional life. And there came a point in, this experience where I focused so much of my time developing these social relationships because that was how workplace culture was, that I, was known as the social kid, not the kid that could be trusted with the work that she was given, even though I would do an okay job. So that kind of realization dawned on me when I thought, okay, Apurva, you do not have your boundaries set clearly. Clearly, people think you're the go-to person for food in that city, for fun things to do in that city, but not for professional advice or not for advancing you in your career. So, all I'd want to say from this, and to fully take away this third piece that we want to tell you, is establish your priorities and define that line between personal and professional, because it becomes that much more important um, to establish yourself within the workplace.
The whole saying, who you surround yourself with shows who you are. You are the company you surround yourself with, is also true for workplace friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you surround yourself with people who are only known for going out and doing the bare minimum or whatever, that's what you're going to be associated with as well. There is
Exactly.
ways to know what you want to be known for and also find those people in your workplace. And maybe they don't exist, and that's fine. Just look at the holistic workplace culture and see what type of friendships you even think you can develop there.
Whew. You guys, today's topic was, I think, heavy, but in a good way, right?
I totally agree. It was definitely an interesting topic just because I think there's so many nuances with it. But then
Exactly.
again, life is very nuanced, and I'm probably going to say this every single episode.
Yeah, I mean, like, look at us just like sliding from maintaining friendships to like the deep, real shit at the end of the second episode. But you know what? This is life. It's not going to be easy every day. You're going to have these hard conversations, and we'll keep coming back to this every other episode, like Ria said. So, super quick, Ria, do you want to give our listeners the ultimate summary for this episode?
Literally perfect. I was just typing to you that we needed to say that. So, number one, workplace friendships are important. Make sure you have them in some capacity. Number two, understand the pulse and culture of your workplace and how to make friends there. Tips such as asking people for a coffee, figuring out what you have in common, and then expanding on that. Doing things like going to go get a snack, going to get your favorite food, working out together, or even going out for a drink. All tips on how to make friends in our new workplace. But this third one is establish boundaries, especially when it comes to drinking. Learn what your personal boundaries are so that you don't put yourself in a sticky situation. And don't wait for yourself to be in that situation. Preset them. And you can talk about them out loud too, so people know what type of boundaries you have when alcohol hits the tables. And then the last one is actually escaping my mind because I think I made it up on the spot. Purva, what was it?
Surround yourself with the right group of people, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with the right group of people at work. The people you surround yourself with will become a part of your reputation.
Yes. And with that, everyone, that is pod number 2 wrapped up.
Woo!
What are we talking about next week, Ria?
Next week, we're talking about how to make friends in a new city. So much lighter of a topic.
Yes. And things that we can genuinely relate to, because, like I said, we are urban nomads.
We basically move to a city every 4 years, not even 4 years, every 3
Yeah.
years.
We've moved a couple cities in the past year and a half in general. So very excited.
That's a valid point.
Yeah. Very excited to talk about it. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.